Melissa. Thank you, NextGen team. How awesome is this event, guys? Huh? How many people have been longing for something like this since COVID got rolling, right? Oh my goodness, I know I have. Well, my name is Mike Doctor, and I was created to help people fix problems and teach. And I do that by helping businesses and leaders, entrepreneurs and leaders, find their authentic selves and develop their true voice so that they can be as impactful as possible with minimal stress. Who wants to know what that means? All right, I tell people what they already know, and then they thank me for it. Okay? That's pretty much what it is, right? I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the foundational mindsets of scaling your business. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself so you can understand why I think that these things are so important. Okay? So how many people want to hear a story? How many people just want the three things? How many people are not going to raise their hand no matter what I say? Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So when I was 19, I started my first business. Okay? Now, by the time I was 22, I was an epic failure in that business. I was in massive amounts of debt, and I had an incredibly pissed off new wife. Okay? Sounds like a perfect recipe for success, right? Not exactly. Not exactly. Fast forward a few years later, we had gotten out of debt. I was working for Coca-Cola. I was stuck in middle management. I was studying for my executive MBA. And I was super frustrated because I knew that I really couldn't go anywhere. And I knew that all of the effort I was going to put in wasn't going to get me anywhere in that company because I was stuck there. But I was still putting all the effort in because I was going to take over corporate America because I obviously sucked at running a business at that point, right? So we got on the right track. We really did. We really did get on the right track, and we were moving in the right direction. And then something happened that really completely changed my perspective and really completely changed my life. And sometimes those things that happen, they're cliches, and sometimes they're like punches in the face out of left field. How many people think mine was a cliche? How many think it was a punch in the face? Cliche, winner, right? What really changed everything for me was my first trip to Europe. Okay, my first trip to Europe. I was 28 years old, and I got to study international operations management with some of the best minds in the business. I got to study with executives from Siemens Corporation in Munich, Germany. I got to study with executives from UPS in Austria, who offered me a job on the spot, by the way, which was pretty cool. I got to study with individuals from Radio Free Europe in Prague, who talked about how they managed all the conflict during the Velvet Revolution. I mean, how many people could see why that would be a life-changing experience, right? Absolutely amazing. And it opened my eyes. It gave me some more perspective. And what really did it was I was then being told by people, right, that I wanted to be like, that I was important, my ideas were good, I should keep asking questions, I should keep doing things. My peers were encouraging me to take that job at UPS, like completely uproot my life, move to Austria as an expat, with full Euro bennies, which are good, right? The Eurozone does a good job with that, right? They don't mess around, okay? How many people at the age of 28 trying to get up in corporate America would have taken that opportunity? Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I didn't, okay? And here's why. So when I was studying over in Europe, my wife was back at home. Now, she was less pissed at me, which was a good thing, okay? But she was getting mildly baby crazy, because everybody knows that the cure for a struggling marriage is to add more stress, right? Absolutely, 100%. So we didn't even really talk about that opportunity. And we didn't even really talk about having kids. And I realized that that was the problem, right? I realized that that was the problem, is I was falling lockstep into what it was that she wanted for our lives, which is not an issue if you're on the same page. But we weren't. And I wasn't being brutally honest with myself, and she wasn't being brutally honest with herself. And I'm sure you can ultimately see kind of where this goes, because if you're not being brutally honest with yourself, then you're not being brutally honest with each other, and it ultimately disintegrated. We'll get to this one in a second here. And what happened was I made the decision in early February of 2013 on a Sunday evening to end my marriage. And it was very life-changing for me in a lot of ways, obviously. And, you know, guys, it's not like we didn't try, right? We really tried. We were married for 8 years, okay? So it's not like we didn't know each other. We did. We understood who each other was. But the issue was we were two extremely different people, and we weren't willing to get on the same page, be brutally honest with each other, and move in the right direction. And, you know, we had gone to therapy, we had gone to counseling, you know, tried everything. We were, at this point, becoming moderately successful. We were dinks, right, dual income, no kids. We were becoming pretty well-known members of our local church. In fact, I was supposed to start teaching a Christian apologetics class at our local megachurch the Wednesday after we separated. So I'm sure you can imagine how that conversation went with family, friends, and spiritual leaders. Right? Not good. Again, not good at all. And, you know, needless to say, I didn't start teaching that class. Instead, what happened is I moved into a 10-by-10 room in the back of a martial arts dojo with my dog, Riley. Small room, honestly, like this big. That's all it was. Had a bunk bed. I don't even think I had a dresser. And anybody here ever trained in martial arts? Yeah, I trained in Aikido, right? It's a Japanese defensive martial art that focuses on redirecting and blending energy, which was extremely fitting for that time in my life. And it still is right now, of course, and especially last year with everything that happened too. And, you know, it was incredibly humbling, like I talked about yesterday. And it was humbling because my entire sense of identity was crumbling. Right up until that point, everything that I had associated myself with because of how I made my decisions was based on, hey, I'm married, this is our trajectory, this is what we're doing, right? I was getting my degrees because she worked at the university that I went to, and I was able to study there, and she was the one who encouraged me down this path, and everything was just crumbling. It was just literally falling around me, and we were stressed, and we didn't know what to do. But ultimately, it came back to the entire fact that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what my identity was. And the only good thing that came out of that, the only good thing that came out of that was the fact that I got to surround myself with leaders and mentors who helped me. I needed male leaders in my life. I needed people in my life who were in life where I wanted to be. I needed people who, spiritual leaders, who were willing to not just hold me accountable to what I said I stood for, but also allow me to grow and make my own decisions in the midst of that, right? And for the next 3 months, me and Riley grew. We grew together, me and my dog, right? And our 8-year marriage slowly came to an end. And I tell you that story not so that you feel sympathetic towards me, okay? I don't want that. Sympathy is not what I'm going for here. Most of the decisions in our lives don't deserve sympathy. We make those decisions on our own, and we create those problems because we don't necessarily know or have all the information, and we don't have all the perspective. Now, that's what I was just about to get more of. Because here's what I did, okay? I wasn't that smart, still don't claim to be, but I did what a lot of 28-year-olds do, 29-year-olds, early 30-year-olds do when you just get out of a relationship, and I dated a 22-year-old child. I know, right? Again, I never claimed to be brilliant. That was just Minky's marketing, okay? And there was issues there, and I was still trying to find stuff. I was becoming incredibly overconfident in some areas of my life and really frustrated in other areas of my life, right? I was really frustrated with Coca-Cola. I was super overconfident because I had just, stood up to my ex-wife for really the first time in our marriage. I got my house back. I was finishing this MBA. Me and Riley Dog were living large. Life was good, right? Life was good. And Coca-Cola and I parted ways, which was long overdue, and I started my journey into real estate, okay? And in that journey, things started well. I'd had some savings. I'd had some good connections. And I started educating for a company that traveled around and did 3-day seminars around the United States. So I got to be paid to go hang out with my friends and help people. Sounds great, right? It was, absolutely was. And I ultimately, the 22-year-old and I parted ways, right? I'll leave out some of the gory details for you in that one, but let's just say she wasn't the one, all right? Let's just go to that one. So we parted ways, and soon after I met my beautiful wife, Shay, and we started renovating historic homes in Detroit, okay? Led by my wife, Shay, we started breaking market records. We started doing things in some of the coolest neighborhoods in the city, Boston Edison, Sherwood Forest, University Park, a lot of these really cool, charming homes, big projects, six-figure renovation projects, all these other things. We were building our own brands. We had partnered with somebody who ultimately ended up to be a really bad partner. That's another story for another day. But we were doing great. We were working for 7 different investors. 2 of them were from Israel. We had 2 international investors we were working with. We had investors from California, investors from Florida, investors from Grand Rapids. We had our own projects. Life was good. We had just gotten married, right? We did a destination wedding. We just built this new house and a new subdivision, new development in Spring Lake, 2 minutes, 10 minutes from the kids' school. It was perfect. It was perfect. Life was great. And then the pain came again. And March of 2020, last year, we had 6 projects actively going at one time. And instantly, things shut down. Instantly. In Michigan, things stopped. And I know there's some people from Michigan in this room, and they know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. We had it earlier than everybody else had it, right? Earlier than everybody else had it. So what did that mean for us? First of all, outside of just the government implications of that, right? We had crews, and I think you know some of the people on our crews. You know Larry and those guys, right? They're awesome. But we had 3 crews running, and everybody on our crew either knew somebody who was sick with COVID or had unfortunately passed away. It was real. It was real for us, probably more so than it was for other people. And we had all of these projects come to a stop, all 6 of them, of all different levels. We had 3 prospective projects that we had already identified for new clients and existing clients that we were about ready to get into and close on. And I had 12 speaking and coaching engagements canceled, all within 9 days. That's a lot. It's a lot. Our world literally went from going 150 miles an hour in the right direction to going negative 30 miles an hour the other way. Literally, we were flipping 360 degrees upside down. And if I had more time, I would go into my Aikido training and what that means, but that, again, it's for a different seminar, okay? And ultimately, we landed on our feet, and we started what is now the Rustic Mitten Co. And what we did ultimately is we took an Airbnb single-family home model, and we applied it to travel trailers and rentals. And that company, thanks again to my beautiful wife, has grown 4x since August of last year. Okay? And that's awesome, and we're excited about it. And before I tell you again what we learned from that, I want to talk to you about the power of being in the right relationships. Okay? The power of having somebody next to you who can go through life with you as your queen, right? And hold you accountable to important things. See, up until this point in my life, I didn't have anybody who had actually done that as my partner, right? The only people who really never turned their back on me, of course, was my parents, right? My family, right? But all of the other partners that I had, and Shay was willing to do something that most people weren't willing to do. She was willing to say, look, man, I know you effed up. I know this got completely screwed up. I know that we're not in the great position to deal with this right now. But here's the thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. So what you need to do is drink your box of wine or whatever the hell it is, figure it out, and let's go. Let's move. Let's figure this out. Let's do it together. Let's move together. And I was able to do that. I was able to do that. But I wasn't able to do it before and all of the other times that things happened because I wasn't being brutally honest with myself. I wasn't positive of what my identity was. I wasn't positive of that. So there's 3 things that you need to look at. And the first mindset is being brutally honest with yourself. Being brutally honest with yourself. You got to be brutally honest about what you're good at and what you're not good at. A lot of entrepreneurs are really, 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 really good at understanding what they're good at. What they're not so great at is figuring out what they're not good at. Here's a perfect example. When we were renovating homes, my wife and I regularly had heated HGTV, reality TV show like Conversations, about the color of the hardware that was supposed to go in the kitchens of our rentals. She loves gold. I am not a fan, okay? I don't know why. I like white gold. I just don't wear gold. I'm not a fan, all right? Now, my sense of style doesn't suck, but my wife's is next level, okay? And what that ultimately meant, like in most marriages, is I lost the argument. But what I found out, right, what I found out is that she was right. How do I know that she was right? Guess what the #1 bit of feedback was on all of our showings? You're absolutely right, right? Mrs. Fancy Pants just talking about how much she loved the gold hardware and how much character it added to the house and all this other nonsense, and I still hear about it. We joked about it last week. And everything in my house is gold now. Like, everything is gold, right? But what I needed to understand is that even though I was trying to contribute, I wasn't the best at that. I wasn't the best at that. So I wasn't being brutally honest with myself. Think of it this way, okay? Think of a rocket, guys. A rocket and a launch pad. Okay, this is a rocket, just in case nobody knows. It's a rocket, okay? Here's your launch pad, okay? So your launch pad is your identity. Your rocket's your business. Okay? Your launch pad is your identity, your rocket is your business. If you want to get to the moon and your trajectory's off just a little bit, are you going to be able to get there? Can't slingshot around like an Apollo 13. You're going to miss it completely, right? We'll get into this in a second what the rest of this stuff means. But think about this for sure and just remember it's a rocket, okay? So what does that mean in terms of identity? You need to understand what you're good at, but more importantly, what you're not good at. I studied for my executive MBA with Mike Dykstra. He's the CEO of a regional company called Zeeland Lumber and Truss in Zeeland, Michigan. Nobody here knows where Zeeland, Michigan is, except for maybe you. Right? So Zeeland, Michigan, tiny little town. But we started studying in 2011. Anybody remember 2008? Yeah, so does Mike, okay? Mike and his industry lost 80% of their revenue in 2008. 80% of their revenue. That's when he took the job. Okay, that's when they shoved it on him and said, hey, go fix this. So what did he do? He didn't try to be the end-all, be-all. He didn't try to be the guy who led everything through. What he did is he went and he decided to study from individuals who were smarter than him, who had already gone through this and had already experienced these catastrophic struggles so he could understand what he needed to do. And you can hear more about this on my podcast, which is called Michigan Business Talk. Season 1, there's an interview with him, and he took his company from $80 million in revenue at that time, and about 100 to 150 employees, to today, over $350 million and 400 employees. He figured out what he was good at and where he needed to fill the gaps. He was brutally honest with himself from here, right? From here, he was brutally honest with himself. And he knew then to set crystal clear goals, because that's number 2. That's number 2. You got to be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish. Crystal clear. Everybody here's talked about it already. I'm just going to reiterate it. I told you I was going to tell you stuff you already knew, right? You got to be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish. Why? Think about it this way. Anybody here know FedEx? Of course, right? Would you care if FedEx told you about how many miles they traveled throughout the course of the year? Not if you didn't absolutely positively get your package overnight. That's the only thing that matters. You got to be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish. And the reason you got to be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish is because it allows you to understand the activities you need to behave in and engage in order to get there. In order to get there. See, here's where scaling a business is different than starting a business. I firmly believe that when you start a business, you can make a decision with about 60% of the information. I believe that the person who makes a decision with 60% of the information will always have a first mover advantage over the person who waits to have everything. We talked about analysis paralysis earlier, right? Analysis paralysis. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you don't ever go. That horse video is awesome. I love that, right? And so when you think about it like that, you want to get out there, you want to engage, right? But when you scale, it's different. Here's why. It's one thing if I lose my own money when I'm getting started, but when you're scaling a business, you most likely have employees, you most likely have investors, you most likely have clients, prospective clients, existing clients, whatever else. If you're not clear on where you're going and what you want to accomplish, is there more or less individuals affected by that? You're absolutely right, there's more. 100%. So do you need to be more or less clear on what you want to accomplish? More. More. And it all starts with your identity. When you have your identity set, then you can understand what it means to be crystal clear about what it is that you want to accomplish. All right, think about it like this. Consider a hospital. What if a hospital said, we want to reduce accidental deaths? Well, I hope so, right? You're a hospital. You better reduce it. But why is that not a good goal? It's a statement. It's not even a goal, really. It's a statement, right? What about this one? We will reduce accidental deaths by no less than 5,000 as a result of poor procedure by December 30th, 2022. A little better, right? Why? You nailed both of them. That's exactly right. You know there's a time frame, so you have a sense of urgency, and there's an actual measurement of something that you want to gauge that's going to help you get there. You understand the activities you need to engage in, and you understand what you need to do to get there. Now, who thinks that the first statement gives you a good chance to achieve your goal? Exactly. Who thinks the second statement? I would agree with you. Why? You got to be crystal clear. And that comes back again from the identity, right? Here's your goal. Here's the moon. Not enough space, but that's a moon, okay? That's a moon. Everybody here's really good at drawing. I'm not. That's a moon, all right? Here's your goal. It's going straight in, right? Here's the moon, okay? Now, in order to get to the moon, again, the proportions are off. Right? But in order to get to the moon, you got to know where it is. You got to be crystal clear. What we're going to do in the breakout today is we're going to do a why exercise. We're going to go 7 layers deep. You heard Travis say that one of the foundational aspects of building your business is your why. I 100% agree with that. So I'm going to help you find it. Some of you think you know it. I don't think you do. Okay? Because once you understand your why, it's going to go back to your identity. And once you understand your identity, it's going to allow you to be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish. And only then does it make sense to solve for X. Only then. There's no other time that it makes sense to engage in that until you understand your identity and you're crystal clear on what you want to accomplish. Okay? Now, what that ultimately means, we go to the next one here. What that ultimately means is building your team. Okay? How many people want a big tip that I always tell my college students? How about 2 for the price of 1? Okay? Awesome. Here you go. Business would be perfect if it wasn't for people. Okay? And your business will live and die based on the people you put in and around it. You need to build your team. You need to build your team. And I'm not just talking about your internal team. Obviously, everybody wants an internal team. Right? Everybody needs that internal team. I'm talking about your external team, the mentors and the coaches and the people that can help you get to the next level like some other people here were talking about. Let me give an example. Can we get a mic? How many people, who here watches basketball? Okay. Who here remembers 90s basketball? All right, cool. Derek, you want to be my volunteer? Sure. Awesome. So I'm going to tell you a story, and bear with me because this will be my last one, okay? So I'm going to tell you a story about a couple basketball players who are going to help me out, okay? The first basketball player was, he went to college in North Carolina, right? Up-and-coming star in his college. He actually didn't make his high school team as a freshman. And he ended up getting drafted by the Chicago Bulls. Who am I talking about? Yeah,
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, MJ. Now, we're not here to debate the true GOAT. Okay, that's not what we're trying to do. But can we agree that Michael was probably one of the best to play the game?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. Here's what I mean by that. Michael had MVPs. He had scoring titles. He had all-star nods. What did he not have? Someone said it. Any championships. Who did he need to get the championship?
The team, Pippen, Rodman.
Going higher. Who did he not win a championship with until he got there?
The coach.
The coach, Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson. How many championships did he win with Phil?
6.
6, exactly. And when the Gremlin fired Phil, how many championships did he win?
None.
None. And when he went to Washington, how many championships did he win there? None. But that's not the end of the story, though, because see, as about Michael's career was winding down, there was another player who was up and coming. Now, this player, he wasn't from the United States. He was from Italy, and he spoke like 7 languages. He didn't go to college at all, and he was drafted by the Lakers. Who knows who this is? Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe was a talented player, yeah?
Very much.
Right, probably top 3 for sure of all time. He wasn't that good. See, Kobe had all-star nods, Kobe had MVPs, and Kobe had scoring titles. But what did he not have?
Championships.
Championships. And who did he need? Don't you dare say Shaq.
Coach Phil.
Coach, he needed Phil Jackson. He absolutely needed Phil Jackson, right? You can go ahead and sit down, man. Thank you. He needed Phil Jackson, right? Scoring championships, MVPs, all-star nods. No championships, no titles. How many did Kobe win with Phil? 5. So how many did Michael win? 6. How many did Kobe win? 5. How many's Phil got? 11. He doesn't even have enough fingers. Okay? He's got 11 championships. So in this equation, who is more valuable, the player or the coach? If Michael and Kobe, 2 of the greatest athletes of all time, need a coach, what makes you think that you don't? You do. I promise. Doesn't need to be me. I don't care. Just get one. Right? Get one. Find somebody that can help you get to that next level. Because guess what? You could be the MVP. You could be the scoring champion. You could be the all-star. You could be the best in your industry. But if you don't surround yourself with the right people, it's going to be a challenge. How many people want another big tip? How about a big tip from my dad, who's also been an entrepreneur and a business owner for like 40 years, has an accessible. Okay, cool. Thank you. So here's 2 big tips for the price of 1, right? No one is self-made, not one single stinking person. Travis talked about it yesterday in our breakout session, I know. Everybody has somebody. Nobody's self-made. Right? The second thing, and this is the one from my dad, fake people suck, and there's no reason to be around them. At all. He told me that when I was really, really young. Identity. Identity. Let's find your why. Let's figure out how to be authentic. Because when you can find your why and you have your identity, and you know where you're trying to go, and you put your coaches in place, guess what? You're probably still going to have a little bit of whatever else, but you're going to get to where you need to go. You're going to bump around a little bit, but your coaches are... Anybody here ever go bowling? Anybody here still put the bumpers in? Yeah, someone said yeah. There you go. Awesome. I love it. I love it. She needs a coach. She wants to win the game. No shame in that. No shame in that. Right? That's what a good coach will do for you. Guys, your coaches are here this weekend. They're here this weekend. Right? There's people here who want to help you if you're looking to scale. There's people here who want you to get to that next level. We want you to have the systems, tools, and abilities to be able to do what we did faster than how we did it and avoid all of that nonsense so that hopefully you never have to deal with rebuilding yourself 40 times like I have or whatever else. But if you do, you can understand what you need to do to get there. Travis said that there's multiple different people that he sees throughout the course of his career. He sees people who lose everything and are able to rebuild it, and he sees people who lose everything and they let it all go. It's a mindset. It's foundational mindset. It's identity. It's crystal clarity. And it's having the right bumpers in your gutters to ensure that you're going to reach your goal. Guys, stop wasting time. Stop wasting time. Start today. We're about to go to lunch here in a few minutes, right? Find the people who you registered with this weekend, and don't let them leave until they talk to you. Don't let them leave until they are pouring into you the same way that they've been pouring into everybody. We want to help you here. Corner Minky and Travis. Corner them and make sure you have a chance to sit down with them and see what they can do to help you. Tackle Frank and tell him, you need to help me with my website. Do what I did and say, hey, go to my website, and does it suck? Yeah, probably. Make it better. Make it better. If you go to my website now, MikeDoctor.com, you will see a website that, again, it's not so bad, but it's not great. But when you go in a month, you're going to see something completely different. Why? Because my man Frank out there is going to rebuild it for me. See, we don't just get up here and run our mouths about stuff. We practice what we preach, don't we? You know that. You know that. You know that. You know that. Everybody here knows that. So let us help you guys. We're here to help you. We want to help you. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. Melissa's going to come back up, talk about some things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I won't run over you.
Let's give it up for Mr. Mike Doctor. Woohoo! How are you guys feeling? Have you taken a ton of notes, soaked a bunch of stuff in? Okay.